Right, good morning. Thanks everybody for being here on a very cold morning. I was asking about what is the standard issue police equipment for days like this. I'm sure there's warmer than your usual. This is about the booze it and lose it, and I really appreciate all of the folks here that are working on this issue. I can say personally, I have a cousin, David, who was hit by a drunk driver. He was hit 27 years ago, and it changed the trajectory of his life because he was paralyzed from the waist down. And I have watched his struggles over the years. As you age and you're paralyzed, he has had to have multiple back surgeries. You lose motion, and right now he can only be up for 6 hours a day. And so you watch the consequences of what can happen when people get on the road drunk. So this is particularly meaningful for me, and I appreciate our police chief, Rico Boyce, and all of the team that work on this year-round, but we all know that during the holidays, with all of the festivities and parties, this can be a particularly dangerous time of year for drivers and pedestrians out on the roads. So just glad to be here to kick off this important effort, and I will turn it over to Mark Izell.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to be here and to be here with all of you for this great event. It's a special honor to be here with my good friend, Mayor Janet Cowell. I've known Janet so long that I knew Janet even before she ran for public office. And when she first was contemplating running for the city council, I remember having lunch with Janet. You may remember this, Janet. And I said, you know, the downside of running for city council is the possibility that you'd win, and then they make you serve on the city council. Fortunately, she won handily and has been in public service ever since and done an extraordinary job for the state of North Carolina and for the city of Raleigh. I'm also grateful to be here with so many people from Raleigh Police Department and other departments as well. The City of Raleigh and Raleigh Police Department have been our great partners in today's event. We're here to talk about two items of great importance to those of you here. One is our statewide Booze It and Lose It kickoff, which is occurring today and runs through January 4th. The second is to celebrate a new project that the office that I run, the Governor's Highway Safety Program, has with the City of Raleigh around their new DWI enforcement unit. We're pleased to have with us, in addition to Chief Boyce and his wonderful staff and the officers here, we have the Secretary of Public Safety, or at least the man who will be Secretary of Public Safety for the next, I don't know, couple of days, Secretary Eddie Buffalo. As we all know, Secretary Buffalo will then be coming to the Raleigh Police Department where he will bring his years of experience to make a difference. But back to the programs that we're talking about today. We all know the holidays ought to be about family, they ought to be about friends, festivities, but all too often, and these law enforcement officers here today can tell us that all too often it's about something else. It's about tragedy. It's about families having to have an empty seat at the table for Christmas and for New Year's. Last year in this state, 1,732 people died in traffic crashes. 1,732. Of those, 361 involved a driver who was impaired. In the city of Raleigh alone, last year, we had 38 traffic fatalities. And of those 38, 11 involved impaired drivers. Now, it's one thing to sit here and rattle off statistics. But it's a whole nother thing to recognize that every single one of those statistics is a person. These crashes have a blast radius. They don't simply affect the individual. They affect the families, they affect neighbors, they affect communities, they affect businesses. And every single one of those lives matter. And we've got to make significant strides in reducing and hopefully eliminating that number. That's why we're announcing today the statewide Holiday Booze It and Lose It campaign, which will be running through January 4th, as I mentioned. We're going to see law enforcement agencies from Murphy to Mania out in their communities patrolling for impaired drivers in an effort to keep us safe. These state and local law enforcement agencies will have enhanced patrols, they'll have sobriety checkpoints, and they'll have a variety of other tools to keep us safe during the course of this holiday season. This is a traditional campaign that we have run now for almost 35 years, and who knows how many lives have been saved as a result of the hard work of many of you in this room and the officers and other partners who work so hard on all of these holiday-related campaigns. One of the fruits of that labor you'll actually see as we leave today, you'll see our Batmobile, which is the breath alcohol testing mobile unit, where when someone is caught impaired, they are brought to that mobile unit and processed. It allows officers to get back on the street more quickly and can make a key difference, and has been a really innovative tool in North Carolina for over 25 years on these patrols and others. So we're excited about the Booze It and Lose It campaign. We're also excited about another tool that we have in the toolbox, and that is our enhanced partnership with the Raleigh Police Department on the DWI Enforcement Unit. When I started as Governor's Highway Safety Program Director, now 9 years ago, one of the things that we noticed is that there was a lot of work happening all across the state, but we needed to put, frankly, more resources into Raleigh and Wake County, of all places. So we've done that. Since that time, we've worked with Sheriff Rowe, and we have created their office, their crash reduction unit. We funded a variety of other enforcement efforts around smaller cities and towns in Wake County. We're going to soon be announcing a partnership with the Post Center for Health Education to help prevent these kinds of crashes. We have worked closely with Vision Zero efforts, like the strong one we have in the city of Raleigh, to also work on prevention. And today, we are highlighting the Raleigh Police Department's new DWI unit. As Mayor Cowell, as has been mentioned before, this DWI unit is going to add 3 officers that are devoted to eliminating impaired driving. It's also going to include new equipment, supplies, and training necessary to conduct impaired driving enforcement. This grant, over $550,000 this year, is going to make a significant dent in impaired driving in the city of Raleigh. In our discussions, Chief Boyce has shown that this is a passion of his. And I'm excited with the direction that Chief Boyce is sending by accepting this grant and showing our commitment. Chief Boyce is the 31st police chief of the city of Raleigh, but as many of you know, he's not new to the city of Raleigh. He's been with RPD for 25 years. It's been part of his mission to build relationships and trust and engagement with the community while also creating this sense of transparency that's going to help keep all of our citizens safe. I'm excited now to introduce to you our Raleigh Police Chief, Rico Boyce. Chief?
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the Governor's Highway Safety Team and to all those working behind the scenes for bringing us together for this important news conference this morning. Also want to extend a very special thank you to Ms. Cheryl Leonard. Cheryl, your unwavering passion for DWI enforcement and education is evident to everyone who has the privilege to work alongside you each and every day. We're truly grateful for your dedication and for your leadership. So I say thank you. Mayor Cowell, City Manager Marshall Adams-David, I personally want to say thank you. Thank you for your support of the Raleigh Police Department each and every day. Your support makes a meaningful difference in our shared efforts to keep our community safe. On October 1st, 2025, the Raleigh Police Department officially established our DWI Enforcement Unit, made possible through the support of the Governor Highway Safety Program. The grant provided the essential funding needed for equipment, training, and the operational launch of this new unit. This partnership is invaluable and directly supports our shared statewide goals for safer roads and safer communities. The mission of the DWI unit is simple but critical: reduce impaired driving and protect the public through proactive enforcement. The unit is focused on decreasing crashes caused by alcohol or drug impairment and preventing the fatalities that too often follow. Their work is centered on stopping the kinds of tragic and entirely preventable incidents that changes a family's lives forever. Our DWI unit conducts targeted patrols and seatbelt initiatives throughout the city of Raleigh. Beyond enforcement, they serve a crucial role in training within our department. Unit members teach at our police academy. I believe Sergeant Bradford is teaching a class today. He's going to get back to that as soon as he finishes here. Members also provide refresher courses for current officers, ensure that all personnel remain proficient in impaired driving detection, proper testing protocols, and courtroom readiness. Since its creation, the unit has also partnered with agencies across Wake County to conduct joint saturation patrols. And I do want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone here in the room from the many agencies that help keep our city safe. Using data-driven technology, we identify roadways here in the city of Raleigh where the likelihood of violations in DWIs is higher. These saturation patrols, led by our DWI unit and supported by our public safety partners, have resulted in numerous DWI arrests, speeding enforcement actions, seatbelt violations, and vehicle seizures. As the proud chief of the Raleigh Police Department, I could not be more proud of the outstanding work this unit is doing for our city. Their dedication and the dedication of our partners make Raleigh safer every single day. I want to say thank you again to all our public safety partners for your continued support. Partnerships like these are incredibly important to me and to our department. By leaning on one another and working together, we are strengthening our ability to protect our community and moving towards a safer Raleigh and a safer North Carolina. As I conclude, I'd like to turn our attention to Sergeant Meredith Cook, to my right here. Sergeant Cook endured a profoundly traumatic event in the line of duty while serving our great city. And we're deeply grateful for her courage and willingness to share her experiences here today. Her voice, her story reminds us of why our work matters and why our commitment to safety must remain unwavering. I do want to say another thank you to the men and women that put on this uniform, wear this badge, and go out and protect our streets and our community here, not only in Raleigh, not only in Wake County, but through our state. What you do really matters. It really does make a difference. And as the chief here in the capital city, and on behalf of the mayor and the city manager, I want to say thank you all for what you do each and every day. And I especially want to say thank you to our new DWI unit here led by Sergeant Bradford, Officer Hall, and Officer Abbott. You guys have big shoes, but I know you're going to fill them, you're going to do well, and just know that you have support not only from me as the chief, but the mayor and the city manager. You have our support. So thank you for what you do, and thank you all for being here today. Now I'll turn it over to Sergeant Cook.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. On the night of July 20th, 2019, I was working the night shift with D Platoon in the Southwest District. It was a busy Saturday night, nothing different than what we were used to. And around 2:40 a.m., I was dispatched, along with other officers, to a severe motor vehicle wreck on I-40 near Trailwood Drive. The call comments indicated that a vehicle had rolled over with 2 people inside. Due to the severity of the wreck, several other squad mates checked in on the call. Although I had been dispatched, I wasn't particularly close to the wreck scene, and while driving in that direction, one of the officers radioed that there was enough help and that I could disregard if I wanted to. I was down several reports, and I knew that I could provide an additional traffic buffer for the scene, and so I made the fateful decision to proceed. When I arrived, I could see multiple emergency vehicles in the lanes ahead. This included Raleigh police vehicles, Raleigh fire vehicles, and EMS ambulances. I saw several people working the wreck with their reflective traffic vests on. As I pulled closer to the scene, I parked a distance away, angling my patrol vehicle in the first and second lanes with my emergency lights activated in order to help traffic merge to the left and protect those working the wreck ahead of me. It was at this time that I heard a very distinct voice inside my head, warning me to leave my seatbelt fastened. This began a sequence of events that I now have no doubt was nothing less than some kind of divine intervention, and my night on duty took a very terrifying turn. I sat in the driver's seat, working on reports, and keeping a watchful eye in the mirrors for the headlights that approached from behind. As the lights crested and would get closer, I watched for them to move over to the left lanes before passing by. I did not sit there very long before I looked in the mirror and saw a pair of headlights traveling at a high rate of speed. They remained on a direct trajectory for my patrol vehicle. It was at this point that I realized this car was not going to move over. I had only a matter of seconds to cycle through a decision. I knew I would not have time to put the vehicle in drive and move out of the way. My greatest fear was that the vehicle would change lanes at the last second, pass me on the right side, and collide with the officers and the other first responders working the scene. A moment of strange calm and acceptance took over me as I prepared for the collision. The single thought came to my mind: you are about to get hit. I laid on the horn as hard as I could to warn those ahead just before the impact. And then I was struck. The force of the impact was unlike anything I had ever felt, and the terror was immediate. The action was over in a matter of seconds, and I was conscious of every one of them. I felt that my right hand and arm had struck the computer and the mount, and that my right calf had been stomped to the floor because the muscle was horribly pulled and tight. I knew that my left shoulder was banged and bruised up, and I knew that graciously I did not strike my head thanks to the restraint of the seatbelt. But my eyes were bouncing back and forth out of control. The effect left me with what felt like I had been spinning. When it was over and I sat dazed in the driver's seat, the panic set in. My first thought then was, I cannot be okay. I began assessing from the legs up, just waiting for something else to hurt, for something else to be wrong. I can now say that I truly know what shock feels like. My friends and coworkers were at my vehicle in a matter of seconds. I was helped out of the vehicle, limped away to safety, and I never even glanced back.
All of my police gear was removed, and I was ushered onto an ambulance. I remember feeling like I needed to just cry, but I couldn't. I was numb. My head was dazed, and I had this awful feeling that something had to be wrong. I was in utter disbelief of what I had just experienced. After receiving treatment at the hospital, I was released and driven home. I still couldn't believe how my night at work had ended. I felt battered and weak and incredibly sore, and I knew that the morning after was going to feel even worse. I was told how to assess for signs of a concussion, although I was not exhibiting any symptoms. But sleeping was pretty much out of the question at that time anyways. My body could not relax. My mind kept reliving the sight of those approaching headlights and the moment of impact. When I finally broke down and cried, I realized just how incredibly blessed I was to make it out of that alive. And as the days passed, a clear picture began to form in my mind and in my heart that all of that night had happened the way it did for a reason. For me, this was the moment I began coming back to my faith. I could not see the series of events as anything other than a divine kind of intervention. I came to see that I was placed there that night to stop that car in its tracks before it could hurt anyone else. And for that reason, I was left almost unharmed. My body healed quickly, but the mental and emotional scars took longer. When I returned to work weeks later, I was plagued with panic attacks, intrusive thoughts, and a deeper fear for my coworkers than ever before. Every busy road or wreck scene, I found myself back on that night in the moments right before the collision. It was only with the support of my sergeant, the police psychologist, and of course, my friends and coworkers that the anxiety began to fade. With their help, I developed ways to manage and control it. Now, only a few years later, I am blessed to be a sergeant with the Raleigh Police Department. Along with my other duties, I find myself mentoring young officers in their decision-making. And one of the first things they hear from me is this story. I stress to them to wear their seatbelt because the seatbelt saved my life. You can see in the photo to my side, this is the proof. Whether you are driving to work, to family gatherings, or going to the grocery store a mile down the road, wear your seatbelt. We get in our vehicle and automatically feel safe as we are surrounded by pounds of constructed steel and engineering. But feeling safe in our vehicles is not enough. I'm here to remind you of the dangers we face every day on our North Carolina roadways. Be vigilant, be alert, and when you get in your vehicle, buckle up, every seat, every time. Wear your seatbelt. I am incredibly honored to still be here to tell my story. And I will now turn it over to Director Ezell. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. We're honored you're here to tell your story too. It's I've been fortunate in this role to work with law enforcement agencies all across the state, and as traumatic as what you went through was, I wish I could say this is the first time I've heard that kind of story. It's not. And there are some tragic consequences and tragic stories we've heard around with law enforcement agencies and others regarding the consequences of impaired driving and how that affects our law enforcement communities. So our goal in this campaign is to keep us all safe during this holiday season. We want to save lives and ensure that every driver on North Carolina roads arrives safely at their destination, not just during the holiday season, but all year round. So these two projects that we're highlighting today can help make that happen. And we appreciate your involvement and your dedication in this season of giving and all around the year. Now, this concludes this portion of our press event. Two quick things. For our speakers and many of our law enforcement agencies, we're going to have a brief walk to the cold to take some pictures, okay? I'm told this will be brief, no risk of frostbite. And then also, it's my understanding that Chief Boyce and his staff may have planned for the media a quick tour of the Law Enforcement Center. Is that correct? And that starts at
Just soon after this quick picture.
as soon as we do the quick picture. So hopefully here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So thank you all for being a part of this. We are available for questions following that. And thank you all for attending, and we hope you have a very Merry Christmas.